Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for attending Arts Los Altos, Public Art and Placemaking, offered by the Los Altos History Museum in conjunction with our current exhibition, Annie Knapp Fitz Paints, A Legacy in Art. I'm Dr. Elizabeth Ward, the Executive Director of the Los Altos History Museum, and it's my pleasure to host this program in conjunction with a special exhibition. We'll have the exhibition on display, Annie Knapp Fitz Paints, A Legacy in Art, until February 6th of 2022. So you have a couple more months to come to the museum and see it. Annie Knapp was a local artist who was really passionate about capturing the scenes all around Los Altos, Los Altos Hills, Mountain View, and she just really had a passion for our local landscape and the way it was changing. She also had a sense of how it was through her research, and she was really interested in researching what the area looked like in the past. So very interesting local artist, and I certainly encourage you to come see our exhibition. We're free and we're open Thursday through Sunday, noon to 4 p.m. So come on by anytime you like to see Annie Knapp Fitz Paints. Thank you. Annie really tried to not only capture her own childhood and the landscape, she also tried to capture images of the Ohlone people as she understood them, the native people of the area. And we have begun a practice at the Los Altos History Museum of beginning our programs with a land acknowledgement. I think it's important to recognize that the Los Altos History Museum sits on the unceded homeland of the Muwekma Ohlone in a landscape they call Thamien. We are grateful for the care the Ohlone gave to this landscape through millennia, and we acknowledge their ongoing presence and importance in our community and world today. I also like to begin with an acknowledgement of our Ohlone ancestors because of so much they teach us about a subject that we're going to be talking about tonight, which is placemaking. We know that in communities, tight-knit communities, where you have a real sense of acknowledgement with the land and you're utilizing the landscape on a daily basis, placemaking is just part of your daily practice. But for those of us today in a busy world where we're driving on freeways and we're flying all over the place, we have to be very intentional about our placemaking. It doesn't just come as part of our daily practices, and we live so spread apart from each other. And I'm just really excited that we're going to be taking time tonight to talk about the way art can help us create a sense of place. I think that people need a sense of place, and I'm just very excited and honored to have this program tonight and to have with us the co-leaders of Arts Los Altos to talk to us about the role of art in placemaking. Karen and Maddy both served on the Public Arts Commission for the City of Los Altos, and they were both also art docents. So they have been friends for a long time. I don't know exactly how long. Karen has lived here for 20 years. Maddy's been here for 27 years. So many of you might know them already for all the important work they've been doing around our community. Okay, so we've got the first slide up. That's great. Both Karen and Maddy are also practicing artists in their own right. And it's exciting to see the way they've taken their own passion for art and they've really wanted to share it with the community. They're sharing it with youngsters with the work through the Los Altos docents and their work on the Public Arts Commission, and now the creation of this new nonprofit, Arts Los Altos, which is doing great things in our community. When Maddy was on the Public Arts Commission, many of you might know the artistic bike rack program that's been all over town, and what a nice addition that was to our town. So you can thank Maddy for that. And so that's just one of the many programs that she's helped to bring to our town, and we know she's continuing to do great things through Arts Los Altos. And with Karen as her co-leader, we have big hopes for what you guys will accomplish in Los Altos. So with that, I will turn the program over to, I think as our first speaker, Maddy, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much for doing this program for us tonight. It's great to have you here. And I'm going to go ahead and hide my video, okay? Take it away.
So before we go to the next slide, I just wanted to give you a little bit of the history of Arts Los Altos. And I want to also say welcome, everyone. Welcome to our speaker series. And we're so grateful to be part of this. So Arts Los Altos started to form pre-COVID in mid 2019. I was invited to a downtown coalition meeting. The attendees who were at this meeting were downtown business owners, property owners, Lava, Lacy, city staff. So public art all of a sudden became an interest for revitalizing downtown. So I invited Karen to join the meetings too. We learned at the meetings that we could create public art on private property, and with private funding, we didn't need the municipal process to get work done. So Sherry Scott, a business owner downtown, Karen and I researched how to form a nonprofit. We needed a name, so we came up with Arts Los Altos. We created our logo and a website, artslosaltos.org. And then we needed a fiscal sponsor. So thanks to the Los Altos Community Foundation, they directed us to Intersection for the Arts, who are located in San Francisco, but they support artists and art groups all over the Bay Area. They're our fiscal sponsor. They take a 10% fee for all the donations and grants that we receive. In early 2020, we were ready to launch Arts Los Altos, and then COVID hit. So we waited until the spring to launch. We were grateful for a large donation to kickstart our nonprofit and install Dodie, our first temporary sculpture. More to come on that later. Okay, onward, here's our team. So you heard a little bit about Karen, but I wanted to share with you what Karen does for Los Altos. She is an amazing helper. She co-does everything with me. She is the master of keeping track of all our contracts. We both have learned how to use Google Docs, Google Slides, here we are, Slack, etc. She communicates with the artists and property owners as well, especially after we have commitment. I recruited Karen after serving on the Arts Commission with her. I knew she was a doer, not a slacker.
Thanks, Maddy.
Next, we added Mike Butensky, who showed interest in public art. I knew Mike from our kids going to school together at Almond, as well as marching band at the high school. Mike is the database guru. He keeps track of our finances and budget. He's very good with spreadsheets. We love his attention to detail because we are not good at that so much. And that he collects art with his wife, Jenny. Following Mike, we recruited Laura. She was moving into retirement and wasn't sure what she would do. She has been a real asset helping us with best practices for nonprofits from her wealth of experience with MVLA School Foundation. She is also a watercolorist. When it comes to searching for public art, she has a good eye. Mayrus, he's the young one in the picture up here. Mayrus joined our team next. He's an architect by trade and volunteer extraordinaire. He created our website and does all our social media, including design and posting on Instagram. Our MailChimp is composed by our team, but he usually creates the initial design. Truly easy to work with and always says, yes, I can do that. He came up with the prompt to our 200 Main Street mural for the call for art. We love his youthful ideas and energy. Katie is our newest volunteer. She comes from a wealth of experience and knowledge from the corporate world and marketing. She writes articles for us and creates the blog on our website. Katie is a wizard with words and has great marketing ideas to help Arts Los Altos grow. She introduced us to Art Changes Us, a nonprofit who works with Los Altos and Mountain View High School students in the AVID program. We hope to do a collaborative project with them. And I also wanted to just do a shout out to Joel Bartlett, who took all these photos and many of the photos of our installations that you'll see as we go along.
All right, thanks, Maddy. This is our mission statement. It's to ensure that arts are an integral part of our life in the community. Like Maddy said, we are members of Intersection for the Arts. They're in San Francisco, a great organization. We are a nonprofit, so we are all volunteers, and all our installations are paid with donations and grants. So please visit our website and donate, because we need your donation to go forward with our plans. Welcome to Arts Los Altos, Public Art and Placemaking. This photo is a great example of placemaking and creating a vibrant area around public art. What is creative placemaking? The use of arts and culture by diverse partners to strategically shape the physical and social character of a place. Public art does so many things: spurs economic development, engages the community, creates civic dialogue, attracts attention, connects artists with communities, provides opportunity for art appreciation. Data strongly indicates that cities with an active and dynamic cultural scene are more attractive to individuals and businesses.
So this first piece of public art, it creates a community's brand. So this is Cloud Gate by Amish Kapoor. It's located in Chicago, and it's often called the Bean as well. It's huge, and it reflects the buildings in the city. It reflects people who stand under it and around it. So it gives you a place to pause and reflect. And I think that this is pretty much a brand of Chicago. This is another piece of public art that shapes the quality of life and spirit. So this is a bit of pop art. It's called Spoon Ridge and Cherry. It's kind of like your scoop of ice cream with the cherry on the top. And it is, the cherry is a fountain. So out of the top, water pours out, and it's located in a park, as you can see. So public art can be located anywhere and gives you a really happy feeling. It can give you a really happy feeling. Public art also represents pride and community collaboration. So this is a project in San Francisco that the General Hospital does as a fundraiser every year. They get the hearts, they commission about 50 artists to paint the hearts, and they rotate them around the city. They're in businesses and outside. Visitors love to take their picture with them. Then after they're up for a time period, they have an auction, and then they sell the hearts, and it becomes a fundraiser for them. And we just did that with the Bears Project. Rotary of Los Saltos did a huge fundraiser with the painted bears all over town. It was a temporary project, and they raised quite a lot of funds for their organization, and it really brought a lot of happiness. The bears came out of hibernation, and it was fun for our city. This is an interactive piece of public art. So it builds, public art can build a sense of place and identity. So this magical laser harp is created by Jen Lewin. It's located in Palo Alto in Mitchell Park. And it's a harp. So what happens when you walk under it, it makes music. So we're going to show you a little video. Maybe.
There it goes.
I think it's pretty cool. It made me want to dance. I mean, you know, so.
It's very fun. If you live nearby, you should go visit it.
This is also by Jen Lewin. It's a great example of lighted public art. It's an interactive traveling pool of light in which your movements activate colorful effects. It's a giant field of concentric circles that swirl with light when activated by touch. And this piece, it's traveled to over 60 exhibition venues in more than 20 countries in the past 13 years. It's a great example of how lighted public art can really bring a community together.
So Janet Elkelman created this piece. This enriches community experience. So you see all the people sitting in the park watching a movie. This is called Her Secret is Patience, and it's located in Phoenix. There's a really great story about Janet Elkelman. She was an engineer, and then she went off to India for a sabbatical, and she learned how to do fish netting from the fishermen. So once she learned this skill, she brought it back and she started creating these public art pieces that are made out of fisherman netting. And in the daytime, they're just white, like fisherman's net. And in the nighttime, they have these LED lights attached, and they're really super colorful, and they move in the wind. And they're just a really kind of calming but beautiful piece of art. She's done these all over the world now.
Public art makes a space more visible and attractive to outside visitors. This is in San Francisco. It's the UCSF hospital. When you can see that beautiful lighted public art inside and outside. The goal of this bubble trees, this is in Europe, was to create a unique landmark and integrate it in with the new office buildings. The sculpture was inspired by grapes that grow high on the other side of the street. When the sun sets, the dynamic illumination system lights up, and the sculpture undergoes a complete metamorphosis and shows its true colors. It's a great feature in dynamic public places where a lot of people walk.
This public art is located in Palo Alto. It is called Brilliance. It is located between the Art Center and Rinconada Library, the Palo Alto Art Center and Rinconada Library. So it's a very clever piece with laser cut letters in different languages. It's all about words and shapes. It's interesting how a piece of art can connect two different buildings. So when you walk between these two buildings, you see these pieces of art, both in the day and the night. So at night, it looks like this. They have these beautiful different colors. There's a button on each sculpture that you can touch, and it'll help it change colors. So it becomes interactive. And it's just a really clever use of words and very, very good for the library. So one of the things we came across was the use of using colored lights and trees. Downtown Los Altos has lots of beautiful trees. We have our fall colors right now that are just really, really beautiful. And we were thinking, like, what if you could light up the trees for all the seasons? So this was kind of a fall color scene. And then this next slide is a winter, kind of a wintry color scene for lighting. And then what if we could do spring and, summer? And so each season would have their own colors, and this would just be seen at night. So it's just a clever way to, use nature and make them beautiful art pieces.
Delicately emerging from the landscape, this sculpture serves as an icon marking the southern edge of Scottsdale Arts District in Arizona. It's reminiscent of a cactus flower. The sculpture's radiant, changing qualities of light and shadow and color contribute to its dynamic botanical form. Two upward sweeping arches converge above, creating a passageway to the formal entrance of the Western Spirit, which is a museum in Scottsdale. Sensing You is an interactive artwork utilizing light and paint to define a major downtown gateway in San Jose. The installation is defined by over 1,000 painted circles and 81 individually controlled illuminated rings that play a variety of patterns and low-resolution mapped video over the ceiling surface of the I-87 highway underpass. The patterns are activated by pedestrian and bicyclists moving through the space, setting off pre-programmed sequences. This is in Boston, and it's called Hatched, Breaking Through the Silence. It was a 4-week illumination and sound experience that provided a family-friendly and physically distant celebration at this famed Hatch Memorial Shell. Now, this took place in January of 2021, so it was during COVID, and it was this, just offered the public this space for joy and optimism in the new year. It was originally a 15-minute visual and sound performance that was led by a Boston-based artist, Maria Finkelmeyer, and was shaped specifically for the 80-year-old amphitheater itself. We have a little video of this too. Oh.
So another clever way to do public art is projection mapping. So this is when you take an image and you project it onto something. And these are images of flowers that are projected onto a tunnel. It's very exciting use of technology, and pretty much any image can be projected and displayed on walls. I think they're doing this all over Europe now, especially events all summer on big, huge buildings. So it's really a cool process. There's also just projecting shapes and color onto nature, and you can create these beautiful pieces of art and have this great sense of place at night.
Characteristics of Los Altos. Well, when you're thinking about public art, you need to keep the characteristics of the place in mind. And Los Altons love the natural environment, trees, paths, parks, flowers, birds, animals, sky, colors, or organic colors from nature, changing colors of the trees, greens, browns, yellows, golden hills, ochre. We like to honor the past, the Ohlone, American rancheros, Juana Briones, pioneers, apricot and fruit orchards. We're very family oriented, connected neighborhoods, village feeling, children, multi-generations, grandparents, pet friendly, helpful, caring, and everybody loves the Olympic wannabes. Los Altos is very active with their sports, bicycling, running, hiking, swimming, tennis, golf, horseback riding, skateboarding. Over 80% of residents have bachelor's degree, 50% have graduate degrees. Residents value education and invest in excellent public schools. We have unique parades, the Pet Parade in the spring and the Festival of Lights Parade in the summer. Many local tech company founders and major contributors to Silicon Valley's innovative spirits have made Los Altos their home. We have the stack of books there on the lower right, which is from one of our murals, and it includes books from innovators such as Steve Jobs, The HP Way with Charles Guesky.
Oh, it's my turn. Public art benefits communities like Los Saltos. So our first project at last, now that we showed you many possibilities for public art, we were so lucky that we got a grant to get this project going. So it was in the Assistance League Plaza. This is before and after. So our first installation was a temporary sculpture called Dodi. The artists are Haibi Kozo. They loaned us this sculpture just for a few months, and we learned through them that if we decided to commission them to do a permanent piece, that our loan cost could go toward a permanent sculpture. So here we have them putting it together. And then during COVID, we painted we chalked out little circles so we'd keep our social distancing, but we did a Meet the Artists Day in June, and we had a really good turnout. It was very exciting to have something that is so beautiful at night as well as the day, that people can sit around and chat, and talk about, and wonder, like, how does that work? Here's Dodi at night, someone taking a close up. And the one on the top is at the event as well.
Introducing Mandalia. So Arts Los Altos commissioned this sculpture, over 9 feet tall. The mandala of the dahlia flower is inspired by the spiral of petals radiating from the center with a mesmerizing mathematical pattern. The fascinating pattern based on the Fibonacci sequence is found all over nature, like in the formation of a nautilus shell, the swirl of a hurricane, and the distribution of petals so each receives maximum sunlight. The artists named this sculpture and designed it for this site. We were fortunate enough to be able to do it and bring it to Los Altos. We love it. It really connects mathematics and nature, which is something we really enjoy. We had the Meet the Artist again in November of 2020. And it was a little tricky with COVID, but we still had a pretty good turnout, and the artists were there to answer questions and share their enthusiasm.
So I just wanted to mention that Serge and Yelena, is that right?
Yelena.
Yelena Yelena was a scientist. She worked in a lab. So it's really cool how she could take her science knowledge and create these art pieces with Serge. And they just got finished doing this huge exhibit. The entire museum was their work in Brazil. So they are now, like, they really wanted to emphasize at at this art opening that they make a living doing this, and that you can make a living being a public artist. So I thought that was really cool.
Lighted public art transforms any space into a place where locals and visitors, friends and family come together to share an experience that spans multi-generations. I just want to point out again, a little shout out to Joel Bartlett. He's taken all of our excellent photos that are on our website and been in all the publicity. Maddy.
So our next project was a mural called Floral Therapy by Nora Brune. It's a very small wall on the side of the town crier building on Main Street. This is before on the left and after when it was finished. There were some seated chairs there, but now the place actually looks like perhaps someone's outdoor living room. I also want to say that this mural was the first one painted in 30 years in Los Altos. So here's Nora preparing the mural. The way that she does it is she projects the image at night onto the wall, and then she uses these super skinny spray paint cans to put the image up there. And so it's kind of fun to go there at night and watch her. So for the lower areas, she was able to use the ladder, but as she got to the higher areas, she uses the electric lift. And here she is. She did this in the summer, so it's really, really hot. She could mostly just work there in the morning, and then she would come back in the late evenings. And I think it took her about a week to do this. And now you can see there's the front of the Town Crier building. That's our local newspaper. And she's just working away. We also did a Meet the Artists event with Nora. She answered questions, and she's one of those artists that I think some muralists don't interact as much with people, but she really loves interacting with the kids that went by and, you know, explain what she was doing. She had all these cans of paint out there, and so it was really fun to watch her create this piece.
Yeah, and I'd just like to say a little shout out to Liz Nyberg. They own the building, and she wanted something floral on the wall. So we're really happy that she allowed us to put this mural up.
Yeah, and along those lines, both the Assistance League, they own that property. We have to work with the property owners. Number one, they're the number one people that have to say yes. Once they say yes, then we can go forward. So we were so grateful when the Assistance League and Liz and Paul Nyberg said, yes, you can do this mural. So we put this slide in because I captured these two having coffee there. There's a coffee shop right across the street. They brought their coffee over and they were just hanging out. On the right is a Christmas time shot where Lava did a Christmas tree promotional time period where everyone could decorate trees, and they were all over downtown. And then there's bicycles decorated and people taking their pictures. So it was really a fun place for everyone to stop and smile.
Our third project is this mural called 200 Main Street, an inventory of time and place. It was by Martha Sakalaroo, and we received a legacy grant from the Los Altos Rotary Club. And we worked with Mel Kahn, who owns this building. It's on 3rd Street on the side of Satura Cakes. He took a risk with us, and we were really, really pleased with the outcome. For this mural, we did a call for art. We called it Then and Now, Now and Then. Reimagine the original Apple logo on the right there, using historical and cultural references and characteristics of the city of Los Altos, and show the juxtaposition of the past and present, where the present would include an interactive quality that encourages individuals to connect with the piece for photographic purposes. Martha was the winner of the call for art, and this was her original concept. She mailed it to us, sort of showing the person standing in front of it as the interactive piece.
We had, how many submissions? We had like 12, 10 or 12?
We had we sent it out to 20 artists, and we got 9, maybe 10 back. Yeah. This shows the installation. Now, this is not a painted mural. It's called a vinyl wall wrap. And the plaque there on the left side of the photo is installed next to it. And this is just a picture of the installation as well. So that's Martha in her yellow shirt, and that's Mel Kahn, who owns the building, sort of observing the installation. They install it actually in panels, and then they stick it to the brick wall. Now this, on the plaque, there's a little QR code. And if you put your phone on that, it'll bring you to the website, and it's all the numbers indicate what the piece is about. Each little item has a story. And I really want to thank the museum, the History Museum here, because Martha got a lot of the historic photos from the museum archives. And that's one of the reasons why we really wanted Martha to create this mural, because she really wanted to work with the community and involve the community to, gather items. And she did a lot of work figuring it all out and planning it. And we're really pleased with it. This shows some close-ups. This mural really creates a sense of identity and uniqueness and civic pride. And on the left, there's the picture of a bookcase. That's from the J. Gilbert House. On the right, there's the picture of the orchards in the back. The Juana Briones house is also featured in the doorway. It's got a lot of references to horses and dogs and the bike and all the characteristics of Los Altos. There's the final picture of the mural finally up.
Yeah, and one thing, if you notice the difference in the beginning, when we took a picture of the wall, there were shrubs in front of the mural there. And so Mel Kahn, the property owner, just called the city and asked if they could take the shrubs that were just in the section in front of the mural out. And Anthony was just on it. Anthony Costanza is the person in charge of economic development, but he contacted the right people and got it done within like a few days. So we're really grateful. You can see it a lot better.
Yeah. Oh, this was the Meet the Artist event this last May. And that's Martha there on the left. Martha gave a little talk. There were many Rotarians there, lots of people admiring it. Arts Los Altos acknowledged Martha, Mel, Kahn, and the Rotary Club in helping this mural come to fruition.
So Arts Los Altos bought a piece from Habicozo. It's called Nevacata. It's a pendant lamp, and the Chamber of Commerce is over in Lincoln Park. It's usually at night, really, really dark. And so we asked if they would like to hang it inside their little living room area there. And they were so excited. And at night, if you walk over there, it projects all these images on the ground and really creates that place to feel a lot safer at night too. So our next, these are going to be some projects that are in progress. So again, we're working with the Assistance League on this mural. Cameron Moberg is the artist that's going to create it. He is doing they really liked his use of really bright colors. He loves to use the monarch butterfly in some form in his work, because I guess it's getting better now with the monarch, but they are a little bit in trouble with, going extinct. So we're hoping now they're on the mend. But anyway, he's going to start this mural in 2 weeks. So we're so excited. We've been working with him for a while and sort of had the install delayed, but now it's going to happen in 2 weeks. So be looking for it. I think it's November 18th. 19th through the 20th, he'll be painting. These are Cameron's submissions for the call for art for the now and then and now. So he just was going for the nature and the pets, those characteristics of Los Altos and of the California quail, etc.
Another future project that we have on the works is the Paseo on 3rd Street. So this is located by a Connie restaurant, and we did a call for art, asking artists to create an interactive, creative placemaking space, engaging residents and visitors of all ages in dialogue and reflection, including the use of light and color, visible both day and night, with technology and innovation. We really want to enhance the vibrancy of Los Altos and have the use of 2- and 3-dimensional art. We chose Liz Hickok to design this installation for the Paseo. Now, this is her work in Palo Alto, and she is using augmented reality. So if you look at that mural through a tablet or iPhone, it will change and move. And yeah, for the, okay, next slide. Yeah, so this is some of her ideas for the Paseo, using augmented reality during the day, and then at night it will be interactive with projected light, which will change as you walk into the space. And she's teaming up with Phil Spittler, who does the augmented reality piece and the light projections. And Phil makes these amazing organically shaped benches, which we thought would be really cool to include possibly as an addition in the Paseo project.
So Comerica Bank is coming up as well. This is on 3rd Street as well, right across the street from the Paseo project. And we just found out that Comerica Bank is willing to let us put a mural up there. So we're hoping to do the photo on the left shows the wall facing 3rd Street. And then we're hoping it can wrap around into that plaza area and possibly put some sculpture or art in the plaza as well.
Mona Caron is a San Francisco artist who creates these large-scale flowers which look 3-dimensional. We thought she would be a great example of a curated artist for the Comerica Bank building.
Talavera Bellon was also an artist who did a submission for the Then and Now, Now and Then call for art. And he created a lot of the history of Los Altos with the Ohlone, the train. You know, he just does these really fun, colorful pieces. He just finished a piece in Redwood City, which is at the top of the history of the Japanese and the flower markets there. So he's an interesting artist to consider for this wall too. Allison Kunith also did a submission for the wall. She's a little bit more modern. This is Stevens Creek and the big oak tree. She put the apple in it, like, you know, the original Apple logo. But she does these modern geometric shape designs, and we thought that might be a good thing for the bank too. So we're just playing around. We're just kind of showing you what we're looking at for the ideas. There's a chance that it may be an abstract piece too.
One of Arts Los Altos' visions is what we are calling the 3rd Street Art Walk. And this is a fantastic way to create placemaking and bring a lot more attention to public art in downtown Los Altos, starting with Heidi Kozo's Mandalia on the corner of State and 3rd, extending all the way down 3rd Street. These are just two potential buildings which are privately owned, which we would love to put murals on: the Green Dry Cleaners, possibly the Bank of the West. This is Chase Bank, 199 Main Street. It has a beautiful brick wall, which would be fantastic for a mural. And we thought Lindsay Milliken, so she entered the call for art, and we liked her concept of the apples coming out of the portal idea, possibly for the brick wall at Chase Bank. She's got the apples hanging down, dropping from the sky. We were considering this, next slide, please, a portal idea for that wall, possibly. So we thought we'd show you guys some other crazy portal pictures. This is Izzy Verne. And then this is a German street artist who goes by 1010, and he made this three-dimensional looking portal, which we thought was pretty eye-catching. And then there's one more. I'm not sure who this artist is, but another portal concept, which very three-dimensional and bright.
So as we go down 3rd Street, there's another area where this is an entry to a building. There's a very old bench that you can sit on while you wait to go into the salon. And on the right, there's a possibility for a sculpture. So another bench style that we were looking at are these benches designed by Colin Selig. The picture in the top right are the benches located in Palo Alto. What he does is he takes upcycled propane tanks and he creates these beautiful benches out of upcycled propane tanks and creates different shapes and colors and really makes use of that waste. Another idea for benches, we have a lot of benches in downtown Los Saltos, is to create a community art project where we get an artist to create a design and then we can get the community to paint the designs and recreate those benches that we already have. So something that occurred to us was, look what's there, the History Museum. So public art and placemaking opportunity is the big oak tree by the J. Gilbert Smith House. There's a new community center in the back to the right now. And a long time ago, I took a workshop with Fred Kent. Fred Kent, he says you need to collaborate to create space. And so I was in the group that actually was supposed to create this space around the oak tree because it's pretty dead space. And so we came up with the idea of recreating the bench and perhaps creating tables and chairs where people could play games and like chess or checkers, or, just sit and play cards. So it would at least be interactive and create a place that could be more colorful. So in the next slide, we came up with this idea of possibly doing a community mosaic project. And it would be fun to create a really interesting bench around the tree that would be creative and colorful. And mosaic is fun to do with community.
Everyone has the right to live in a great place. More importantly, everyone has the right to contribute to making the place where they already live great.
So that's Fred Kent. He just wants you to reinvent your public space as a community and use your imagination and work together to create what you want.
Oh, this is Schwab Bank on 3rd, which was getting back to the mosaic idea. we thought it would lend well for a mosaic on that piece of wall there by the Schwab Bank. And again, mosaic is great, lends itself really well for community art projects. So these are just some pictures of some different community art projects with mosaic. And Rachel Rohde is, she led this community art project in Richmond, California. And this mosaic mural was created with handmade tiles that over 200 local participants made during a huge park renovation day. And this design represents empowerment and together united. It radiates out, making a difference in the world. It's 9 feet in diameter. And this is another mosaic artist, Colette Crutcher, and she's done some fantastic stairways in San Francisco with mosaic.
And so again, as we're walking down 3rd Street, we noticed these utility boxes. We took a walk with the city manager, Gabe, and John Maginot, who's the assistant deputy city manager, and Anthony, who I mentioned earlier, the economic development guy. And they said the city doesn't own these utility boxes, AT&T does. So we're hoping to work with AT&T and perhaps get this artist, Harumo. She's just this great abstract Japanese girl that creates these wonderful murals and just great art. So we're hoping maybe we could get her to do these.
Oh, this is another spot. The back of the Los Saltos Grill on 3rd Street would lend itself to, next slide, a possible artist, Emily Fromm. So Emily, she's in San Francisco, and she entered our call for art, and she took an old postcard of Los Altos in the 50s, I think or 1960s, and she did a design for a mural, which even has a little mini mural in it with Los Altos, California, and we just really like her style. She's got all kinds of diverse people, and yeah, we're hoping we can somehow get Emily on a wall in Los Altos sometime. Another mural artist that entered the call for art is Lacy Bryant, and she did these lower murals there in San Jose. We really like her colorful, playful, active designs, a lot of fun concepts. We're just going to show you a couple other examples of artists that
Jordan Heron also did the call for art. He created this mural that has lettering. So it's obviously says Los Altos. Love the way he used the apricot in there and the people sitting, around, and he does really colorful lettering. And then John B. Signs, he created the mural inside the State of Mind pizza place in downtown. I think it's at State and 4th. And he also is very clever with a portal as well. As you can see, welcome to the Bay Area and the Santo Market. So he's another lettering type of graphic design muralist. Along with Alyssa Wigand. So Alyssa created the San Jose sign, and then she created these posters that are also augmented reality posters. So if you use your app and hold it up, it creates this super 3-dimensional effect and can also create movement.
This is on the side of the Nike building in Chicago. We just thought this was a great example of an active mural, which has a lot of characteristics of Los Altos. This is in Barcelona, Spain. The figures on this building sort of climbing up, helping each other to get to the top. We just thought it was a fun example of mural artists.
Another abstract mural concept. This is Alicia McCarthy. Is located on it. You can see it from Market Street in San Francisco. It's just the use of line and color, and they're woven, the lines are woven in and out of each other. And it's, as you can see to scale how tiny the people are, that is how big it is. It's just gigantic, and it's just really beautiful and colorful. And the whole building just looks 1,000 times better. This is also a mural I saw in the Mission in San Francisco. I was riding my bike. That's actually my bike right there, leaning against the mural. Just a colorful, you can see some bird shapes, but it's just really playful and fun, and really makes that, it's a parking lot, and it really made the parking lot feel good. Harumo Sato is the woman I was talking about earlier with the utility boxes. She did the mural on the right at an elementary school with the animals, appropriate for there. The one at the bottom left is a Vietnamese restaurant in San Jose, and she looks like it has like a lot of fish and underwater theme, and then it's a print on the top left. So we just like her energy and her art and the way she can make a space, you know, feel happy.
Even parking structures can display public art in wonderful creative ways. So this is the east side of the rental car garage, San Jose Airport. Hands of 53 Silicon Valley residents created with plastic pixels affixed to architectural metal mesh spanning 1,200 feet and standing 7 stories high by Christian Moeller. Eventually, we're going to have a parking structure maybe in Los Saltos. And this, we just wanted to show how parking structures can be beautiful with a little public art on them. Now, we at Arts Los Altos have created a curated mural artist list. And at the top of the list is Morgan Bricka. She painted this at Santa Rita School. Maddy and I saw her presentation at the History Museum last month. She's amazing. We wanted to just show a couple of Morgan's pictures. This she did for the county fairgrounds representing Los Altos. I think she went to the History Museum to find some of the aerial photographs for the background of Los Altos. I just love the way that the girl is swinging out toward the viewer. And this is a close-up of a part of a mural which Morgan painted in China. So she's international muralist now, and she's also painted in Portugal.
And lives here.
Yeah.
So Jet Martinez is an artist from San Francisco. We're just going to just show you a couple more muralists that are on our list. All the people in this presentation are on our curated list, but these are people that we're interested in doing. He does mostly birds and flowers and creates these sort of Hispanic feeling of flowers and shapes. Mona Caron, as you saw earlier when we were thinking of her for the Comerica Bank, she also does this sort of historical ribbon. So in the ribbon, there's history of San Francisco in there, and then she did this series of weeds or thistles. So there's an artichoke and an eggplant. We can go to the next slide. And she did these large weed murals on buildings in San Francisco.
Kelsey Montague is an artist that is very interested in exploring how public art, interactive art, and social media intersect. Her murals specifically invite people into a piece and then invite people to share their experience online. I love the interactive piece in her work. She's international as well. She has created brands, sells products, and works with schools. Her murals often have the what lifts you up theme, kind of with the wings and all. Yeah, I think she's great. This is another artist, Louise Jones. She was born in California, went to UC Santa Cruz. She's best known for her large-scale floral mural installations, which can be seen in public places throughout the US, from museums to public parks. The murals often depict site-specific plants and animals, and the techniques she uses are uniquely informed by her education in printmaking and drawing. The photo on the right is a great example of placemaking with the little table and chairs. And then Yulia Angustinovich, she is originally from Russia. She's created murals all over the world. This mural is in Oakland. It's called Native Birds and Plants of Northern California. We just love her detail and her scale. She's also illustrated, we go to the next slide, books, and I just love her detail and use of color. There's one more little close-up of the egret. So she would be great to have somewhere in Los Altos. She currently lives in Denver.
So Troy Corliss is a public artist that grew up in Los Altos. So the story behind Troy, this is just really strange because we were looking for something where we could do history of Los Altos in a different format. So what he does, he creates the designs digitally, and then another company puts them onto glass. And so you can see this at the Embarcadero. If you go to the Embarcadero in San Francisco, they're there. They include the history of San Francisco. He went to Los Altos High School. As we mentioned, Liz Nyberg, his mother knew Liz Nyberg. You know, it's like such a small world. And then when I called him and talked to him, he said, oh, I went to Los Altos High. And then he said, and I went to UC Davis, and that's where I went to college too to study art. So it was really this little fun, small world. Now he lives in Truckee and he creates public art. And this is another one of his pieces that you can see in the Embarcadero as well. And they're digital images on glass. So future community collaborations. So the biggest thing that I learned from Fred Kent is that's what public art and placemaking is all about. It's collaboration and working with your community to create something that they would like. And that's why we liked Martha so much, because she reached out to the community and collected all those things for the mural. So we want to do digital and physical exhibitions, partner with Art Changes Us, which you know, Katie introduced us to that group with those high school students. That would be really great if we could do that, create some panel discussions and lectures, team with businesses downtown. And of course, we want to create our walking tour of downtown, but mainly of our art walk on 3rd Street. So a person who lives in our community, Sudhya Shroff, she created this rainbow of strings on Fremont in front of her home. She also created another piece at Villa Montalvo called A Common Thread. And she is just this amazing community worker. She really loves to work with people and do art projects. So we're hoping to do some sort of collaborative project with her and the community. And then chalk art is another form of bringing your community together. These were two students that I taught art a while ago though. But anyway, they asked if they could do this chalk art. And so I got permission from Lacy to create this chalk art in front of Linden Tree one summer. And it was really a fun project for them and then for the community to see as well.
A chalk art festival is the perfect future community collaboration. These photos show community gathering and creating chalk art. You'll recognize the photo of on the right, our own Steve Jobs, who grew up in Los Altos. This is just sort of a recap of what Arts Los Altos has done in the last 1.5 years. We've shown we have the ability to implement sculptures and murals downtown, create a call for art for future murals with a curated artist list. We're able to provide quality placemaking for property owners, merchants, and the community with a variety of styles and materials, including sculpture, lighting, and interactive art. And we will continue to collaborate with these community organizations, the Rotary Club of Los Altos, the History Museum, Lacy, Lava, Chamber of Commerce, Kiwanis, and LACF.
So a community is defined by its people. Let's create meaning together. I just want to at the very end here mention that we are a nonprofit, that all of us are volunteers. This is my new part-time job that is unpaid. And I love it. I love doing it. I love working with my team, but we need to get donations to make all of this happen. It's so wonderful that we've gotten these great grants to make this work, but all the little donations have helped us make this happen. So we're so grateful for all of you who have contributed, and please do again this year as well if you can. And thank you so much for coming tonight. I don't know if you have any questions or what we do next.
All right. Well, the first thing we do is we thank Maddy and Karen for a fantastic presentation.
Aww.
Wow. Wasn't that like an amazing walk through the world and through all these different art styles and all these different artists? And thank you. That was inspirational. Every single one of them. Lots of the comments were just like, wow, gorgeous. Oh my goodness, you know, so I think each one had its own, yes, inspiring. We've got brava for just how wonderful the different pieces were, each one. So yeah, we can actually go to gallery view if people have other questions. So there are a few in the chat that there was one specific question about you mentioned these sort of characteristics of Los Altos, and I was wondering, did that, just where did that list come from of those characteristics?
Well, when we were on the Arts Commission, we did a lot of outreach, different events and different things where we asked the community different questions. We had a questionnaire that they filled out, like at the Rotary, what's that thing they do? Art in the Park. And then the other thing that I worked on was the artistic bike rack competition. And so when we did that and we put all the designs up in the library for people to vote on, people clearly picked the ones that you see that are up, which are mostly animals, trees, leaves, you know, they're just things that people who really love nature and animals.
Oh, that's interesting. Great. Well, so yeah, I think that that you're right. That's definitely the bike racks that the city sponsored. So another question we have here is really, it's a little bit, because you were talking a lot about placemaking and just really, I love the way you described it as these places where people would be happy and where people would want to linger and where it was really beautiful. And just really making people want to stay. So, but there was a question here about the idea of it also making a place safer. Do you have any sort of, I mean, is that part of public art or placemaking that the question here is even about safety at major intersections or at pedestrian crossings, something, I don't know. Have you thought at all about that? Does it make a community safer? And if so, how?
Do you want to speak, Karen? I don't know.
No, go ahead.
Um, I definitely feel like public art makes the community safer, especially if you can create something where it is dark into being a brighter place. When I was on the Arts Commission, I was always going to all the Planning Commission meetings and all the Parks Commission meetings because I kept saying, where's the public art? Where's the public art? Because I think at any school crossing, you can make it safer by making those crossings really colorful, not just yellow striping, but you can get the students involved with designing it and having pride in it. And so that can make, but that's a city project. So unfortunately for us, we can only do private property and private, you know, that's our group. But if you have those ideas, you should take them to the Arts Commission and the city, because they need to hear that's a good idea. And I do think public art makes an area safer.
Yeah, that was a good question. Interesting question. Okay, there's a reference on here. I'll try to get this to you, and it sounds like you have an amazing curated list with really great artists. But there's a recommendation here for an artist that works in Santa Cruz that does Mosaic. So Ziggy, if do you want to say
my
anything more,
sister.
Ziggy? Oh, that's your sister. Oh,
She's one of
okay.
Maddie's biggest fans.
Oh. All right. So you can get that reference from her later then. Oh, okay. No, your sister's amazing. All right. So let's see. We've got, yeah, so there's an interesting question from Janine about the, about, you know, in terms of history and the definition of history. When you speak about it, there's a lot of, obviously when the History Museum, she came, she looked at our historic photographs, their black and white photographs, which she needed for her digital input. And then a lot of the other history references that you've made, they're maps or they're pictures from the fruit crates. So they are sort of history after the technology of writing. And then some of your other pieces are very nature, you know, bound, but there's that middle gap of the prehistoric, if you will, like our Muwekma Ohlone. So I wondered if you had thought about, just in terms of multiculturalism and including any references to the indigenous people on whom homeland, you know, Los Altos sits.
Yeah, that's a good question. Martha, in the mural on 200 Main Street, she does have an Ohlone basket that she photographed at the Santa Cruz Museum. That's one reference. You know, and that,
and the rancheros in that same
yeah.
mural. I don't know if you remember Talavera Balone in the slideshow. He was the one with the big train, and in the background there were the Ohlone in the canoes that are made with the reeds. He did a lot of research about the spirit animals. They're in there too. There's like a coyote and eagle. So I was really excited about that part of his mural too, because it included the Ohlone, but in a creative way. He put a contemporary boy inside the reed canoe. So I thought that was really cool. You know, he's like thinking of then and now and trying to give you that history. So I would really like to use his piece somewhere.
Oh, so, okay. If anyone else has any other questions and they're brave enough to unmute themselves, you can certainly do that. For the 3rd Street idea, I mean, I've never heard that before. Oh, she's clarifying that she's talking about reaching out to the, yeah, you see that there. That's, yeah. And the museum is working with the tribal leadership a little bit, and I know the city of Los Altos has been reaching out to them as well. So the chairwoman and the vice chairwoman, at least of the Muwekma Ohlone, are certainly something we could help you get in touch with.
Maybe we could do something at the big oak tree.
Yeah, actually, that would be we've been talking at the museum a little bit about trying to have some land acknowledgement somewhere in the Civic Center that would, you know, talk about it being Muwekma tribal land, and just trying to figure out what would that look like and where should that be. So actually, I think that's an interesting, thank you, Maddie, for that idea. And the mosaic around the oak tree could have an Ohlone theme to it, might be really nice. So, yeah, but then that's city property, so.
Right? Oh, but see, on our walk with the city staff, they're going to hopefully be putting us on their agenda so that we can do some collaborative projects together with the Arts Commission and Arts Los Altos. So hopefully that will happen.
Yeah, well, it's certainly easier for you. That was one of my questions in terms of your fundraising. Is that one of the, was that one of your motivations for starting Arts Los Altos? Is that it was a lot harder to, is the Public Arts Commission able to sort of take donations and do fundraising?
Well, they now have a lot of money because they have implemented the 1% for public art from commercial building. So way back when we were on the Public Arts Commission, they didn't have any money. But anyway, they do now. So that's great news. And I've heard that they're going to be doing some great things.
But you guys as a 501c3 are able to take donations the way the city probably can't, I would imagine, yeah?
Yeah, the city can take donations, but usually like within the form of a specific art piece or sculpture. And for us, the biggest difference is that it's just quicker. The process is quicker because it's private property and private funding. So we don't have to have the municipal process. So it's just a little bit, we can get more done. Like in a year and a half, we've gotten 3 projects done. So it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, okay. So when you're making your choices between your different types of art, just how do you sort of pick a piece? How do you know, everybody has different tastes, that it looks like you talk to the owner of the building in some cases, like if you were trying to decide between should we do those detailed botanicals or should we do something geometric on this place? Yeah, how's that process, that decision-making process?
Yeah, that's a really good question. We try to get in, we all have our different opinions and input, and we just do our best to keep it all in mind.
We do ultimately talk to the property owner first and get some idea of what they would like and what they have in mind. And then we tell them what we have in mind, like, oh, this is our concept for call for art, or we're thinking of doing this. What do you think? It just really depends on the situation. But our group, our entire team comes up with different people they've researched, and they bring it to our weekly meeting, and we have a discussion about each of these artists. And then, well, do we want to do this? Do we want to do that? So there's a lot of discussion. And then, as we told you, the call for art. So by doing a call for art, once you have a theme, it really helps you narrow it down.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Weekly meetings. That's a lot of work. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, we're just talking about how much, the nice comment here from Amy Cody about how much, art definitely supports the local economies because it makes people want to go out and spend more time at a place and get themselves lunch. And then she also mentions the museum, which is very nice. Thank you, Amy. So do you have metrics on that in terms of the economic impact, or have any cities done that kind of work? I would imagine somebody might have.
Yes, Redwood City has metrics, Palo Alto has metrics, because they've had the percent for art for a really long time in their city, planning. So yeah, they have it. It's there. It's everywhere. It's all over the world how it has increased economic development.
Okay. Well, one last question just for me then, in terms of the benches that are, because well, I haven't been voted on yet, but I was nominated to the lava board, so I'm just kind of curious about the benches that are down. Like, is the sidewalk? What is the status of the benches downtown? Or if you wanted to add more benches, where's the private versus public on a sidewalk?
Yeah. So the private, most of the benches downtown are on city land, but I think you have to purchase them through the city. But I'm not sure what lava has to do with the benches specifically, but the ones we showed in the slide presentation, that's private property where we want to put benches.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, I know Lava does something about the planters and the sidewalk, so I'm not really sure where all those boundaries
Yeah,
are.
I think they have a pretty good relationship with the city, and so there's a lot of cooperation and collaboration with that.
Yeah.
And we're hoping we'll be able to do that too, collaborate with the city on different things too.
Yeah, absolutely. Great. Any other questions? Okay. Well, I think that curated list of artists that you had, is that on your website? Those artists and their portfolios or any of their names? Was that?
I'm not sure the curated artist list is there. It's just internal right now, but maybe we will put it there eventually.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was amazing artwork, right? It was so beautiful to see. Thank you for that, for those amazing examples. Thank you so much for doing this program tonight. The Los Altos History Museum is appreciative of everybody who took time to help us celebrate Arts Los Altos and their contributions to our town. Maddy and Karen, thank you for your presentation and for being part of making Los Altos more beautiful and a place people want to stay and to appreciate the history. It was really fun working with you on Martha's mural, and we love all of the opportunities to collaborate. So thank you so much. The museum is hosting a program on November 17th called Catch the Spirit. If you'd like to come hear music, not art, but you can enjoy the Indianapolis exhibit and do some Christmas shopping, and then hear some Christmas carols if you'd like. So we have our free Catch the Spirit event on Wednesday from noon to 4 at the museum. And then keep up on our website for our other upcoming programs. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
A video of this will be up on our website in a couple of weeks or a couple of days. Okay. Bye. Oh, bye, Liz. Oh.
Hey.
Bye, everyone.
Good night, Jeannie. Bye.
I love you, Maddy.
I love you, Kitty.